Just how hard is it to get heels over in today's professional wrestling climate? I'm the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling. Before I get into this video, make sure you smash that like button so hard they walk funny in the morning, and make sure you comment. It's in the comment section. That's where you can comment, and then I'll comment back to your comment. We can have a conversation. Yeah, you know, all that good stuff. But now let's get into this. Let's talk about it. This past Saturday on Saturday night's main event, Jacob Fatu beat down on Braun Strowman so bad, it should have been massive heel heat that he garnered. Very similar to when Bronson Reed beat the ever-loving shit out of Seth Rollins on a Raw and sent him packing. The tsunami after tsunami after tsunami, you would think that this would have a similar reaction. It was done in a very similar manner. However, coupled with the fact that Jacob Fatu has come in with a lot of folklore, a lot of hype that has garnered a lot of fanfare behind it, and it's well-intentioned and deserved, might I add. Jacob Fatu is the real deal. He has got the charisma. He's got believability. He is great in the ring. He has an aura about him. And I remember when he was assumed to show up in the Rogue Bloodline, people thought he was going to overshadow Solo Sikoa, which I think would play a part in the story going into a potential WrestleMania match between the two. So you kind of like, you've got that brewing, right? And now no longer is he behind Solo with the prayer hands saying, "I love you, Solo." Now he's out here seemingly unhinged, unattached, and able to do whatever he wants, not to please his tribal chief, but to potentially usurp any tribal chief, right? So instead of getting this massive heel heat by beating Braun Strowman to a bloody pulp, the crowd applauded, and they even chanted Jacob Fatu's name. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought the entire segment was great. It was fire. It was much needed. But the intention behind the segment was to get Fatu over as a heel. A monster heel on the same level as the aforementioned Bronson Reed, who is out because his ankle exploded at the War Games match. So I don't know how long Bronson Reed is going to be out for. The Wave God. Shout out to Bronson Reed. So while he's out, somebody that can foreseeably take his place, Jacob Fatu, is right there for the taking. And I see where they decided to pivot and go that route. But in today's era, when a wrestler does anything that's considered cool or stands out in an interesting way, there's a point where large crowds will cheer them no matter the behavior exhibited. WWE, at least since Paul Levesque has taken over, has attempted to retrain the audience, their universe in the WWE, to cheer the faces and boo the heels. And for the most part, it has worked. They have done a good job of that. I think there's been some hullabutt going on the internet about Cody Rhodes potentially becoming a heel soon. And it seemingly hasn't worked. It seemingly has not worked. The crowd still cheers Cody Rhodes. So whatever's going on the internet, it hasn't really transferred the way that it is. But it's one of the reasons why I feel like Cody Rhodes and John Cena wouldn't work as a match, because you're building up a WrestleMania main event between two beloved superstars that are certainly polarizing and could cause the fans to turn on one of them at any point. They have invested a lot into making Cody Rhodes their QB and their superface, and for the most part, largely based on the story they have given us, it has worked. So risking reaction for a match like that, given the spectacle, it just doesn't seem worth it. You have built so much into Cody Rhodes to be the top face, to put him in a scenario where he is standing across the ring against a superstar like John Cena, who the fans, some half would boo, some of the half of the crowd would cheer for years, are now seemingly getting an opportunity to cheer him for one last time and see him break a record of world title victories at the granddaddy of them all, giving him a chance to finish a story that Cody Rhodes got a chance to finish his story already. He's already done it. And we've seen Cody finish the story. So now we have a chance to see John Cena finish the story. And the person standing across from him is the person that he helped. That helped him, rather, win his championship at WrestleMania. You are putting Cody in a position to get booed at that point. Depending on how they tell the story, it could be a slippery slope. Because not only would they boo him at that spectacle event, they would boo him thereafter. And as I said, Saudi Arabia, that's fine. I could see it working out there. But at an event like WrestleMania, you're rolling the dice. Which brings me to this scenario with Jacob Fatu. This is an interesting position with Jacob Fatu. I had a video, I Hate You Solo, in quotations, where I started to fantasy cook about an idea with Solo Sikoa against Jacob Fatu, where Solo can come back and say, look, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. And Jacob can say, you don't got what it takes to take me out. And they can really get on some gangster shit if they really want to explore that type of a style there that can get Solo in a position to be beloved. And that video is doing really well, and I thank everybody for checking that video out, because I think it looks behind the curtain. A lot of people have been insinuating that they'd like to see Jacob Fatu go after LA Knight, to go after the United States Championship, to do all these other things, but there is a loose end that needs to be tied in regards to Jacob Fatu, the Rogue Bloodline, and Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa came out and walked away without saying anything. He walked out on his Rogue Bloodline. And that seemingly gave Jacob Fatu ammunition to be unhinged and to feel like he has an opportunity to go after the tribal chief, to any tribal chief that wants to be the head of the table. So not just Solo, but eventually Roman Reigns. And he's going wild with it. And I think the start of that story was what he's doing with Braun Strowman. He's dangerous. Okay? And Solo let him in. He was not allowed in to the WWE. Solo brought him in. And now Solo's not even going to be able to control him. It's an awesome story. If done right, inserting the Usos to help their little brother Solo, because Solo started a gang and got in trouble and the Usos need to come in and help, is also a great story. But I wonder how they're going to do this, because Jacob is becoming so loved. And they're going to, if this continues, now it just happened in an isolated event at Saturday night's main event. So for now, they're safe. But the internet has always loved Jacob Fatu. And those that have been paying attention, they noticed the callbacks to MLW, his promos, his attitude, the way that they're seemingly letting Jacob go be Jacob. They're not reining in and trying to conform or fit him into a certain thing. They're letting Jacob go be Jacob. So if they keep doing that, it's not just going to be the internet that cheers and applauds and roots for him. It's going to be a large portion of the WWE universe. They're setting it up to, he could be one of the most popular faces in the WWE. But then that would kind of, if my idea is even possible, if there's anybody that's thinking that they can go that route, it might fuck it up a little bit, because Solo Sikoa has been hated for so long as the leader of this Rogue Bloodline that it'll be hard for them to get sympathy on Solo, and the crowd might even cheer Jacob louder than they did when he beat up Braun Strowman. The crowd loves Braun Strowman. So it was shocking to see how much the crowd cheered and applauded the efforts of Jacob Fatu going so far out of bounds in a WWE ring. So all I'm saying is, if they decided, if there was anybody that was even thinking about going that route with Solo, they might need to do a little bit more work to get the crowd to side with Solo and boo Jacob Fatu. So they might have to start with Jacob going off on Jay and Jimmy or something. I don't know. Because what they have right now is a situation where it's almost like it's kind of similar to when they had Rhea as a heel. But Rhea Ripley was the most over face on the women's division. So everybody that she faced, every face that she faced, had an uphill battle. They were swimming against the current to try to get the crowd behind them. And it wasn't doing them or Rhea any favors. It's like, turn her already because she's over. Get the fans to be okay with cheering her, because you're not doing the other popular women any favors at all. You get what I'm saying? So there can be a situation with Jacob Fatu where unceremoniously here they can cause the crowd to even boo the Usos. Okay? So I liked the story originally. When I first did the video, I liked the story of Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa against Solo Sikoa and the Usos. But now with this event that just happened on Saturday night's main event, I am not so sure, given the next path they take here. Let's see how this plays out, right? But let's say he starts getting into it with LA Knight a little bit more, and they have a little series just to buy time before Solo returns. If the crowd starts cheering for Jacob over LA Knight, I wouldn't put him around Solo at all, bro. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Keep Solo away at that point. So I think that'd be a good litmus test, is to put Jacob Fatu now with LA Knight. Have him crush LA Knight, beat him to a bloody pulp, and see how the crowd reacts there. And then that'll tell you if they'll be willing to give Solo some sympathy for an attack that Jacob does with him until the Usos come and make the save. We'll see how that turns. But yeah, I believe it's really hard in today's climate. I think it's really, really hard to really get a heel going on some heel shit. Because if it's done too good, there's a contingency that are going to applaud that and cheer that. And if that catches on and becomes infectious, then now you have kind of turned this heel, this monster heel that was supposed to be despicable, into the most badass face in the company. Think about what they did in AEW with MJF. They tried so hard to get him booed, and he just kept getting cheered. And I think that there's a lot of examples of that happening nowadays because the fans are starting to smarten up. And if they see some cool shit, they're going to applaud it. And it doesn't matter if they're good guys or bad guys. And I believe that becomes harder. And I applaud Paul Levesque and his committee for trying their hardest to retrain the WWE universe. And for the most part, like I've said, they have done a good job. But it is a point where it seems like it's an uphill battle. And they might have run themselves into a situation where they just might have, on accident, gained one of the biggest face monsters in WWE history and got fans to buy into him earlier than they would have liked. The Samoan werewolf, the Samoan destroyer, getting over before he even gets in the ring with Roman Reigns. I don't think they would have wanted that. I think it's a little premature, right? But it might have happened. But you guys let me know what you think. Are heels able to be the heels in the WWE or in wrestling period the way that we have imagined them as wrestling fans growing up, or has that changed? And if so, then what can a heel do to get that heat and not force fans to cheer them and applaud them the way in which they would applaud a face because what they saw was cool or badass or awesome? You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Thumbs up on the way out, and make sure that you smash that like button so hard that it oversleeps and misses its alarm clock and all that good stuff. Until then, I'm the Wrestling Old Head. You have just entered the portal of pro wrestling, Stay tuned for more.